We're going to go ahead and get started while people are dropping in. I want to make sure that we're keeping on a good timeline and keeping to the hour. So obviously this is being recorded, so it will be up on our website later this afternoon. But first, I want to say thank you for everyone for attending, and we're excited to be presenting the 2024 wrap-up, as well as look forward into the 2025 trends. This is part of our continuing education series from Discover New England, and we're super excited to be able to bring you all of this. So I'd like to kick it off by introducing Michelle Coda, our fearless leader who has brought us into so many wonderful opportunities these last 2 years, and I'm super excited to see where 2025 is going. Kick it off, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. This is the third year that we've invited our reps in our primary markets and our national agency, Brand USA, to speak about the year ahead and tell us what we should know and what we can do to be in the best position for the coming year. I know this coming year is going to be a hard one to predict, but their insight from their markets as well as Lyft, and you name it, they'll be able to go into a lot of detail that'll be helpful for us. So again, we're very grateful for their continued support, and we do work really hard with Discover New England strategic planning and our programs to align with Brand USA as well as with our international reps leadership. So overall, New England, we've been experiencing strong growth in international arrivals, mostly from Western Europe and Latin America. We are seeing a comeback as well from certain Asian markets. Those markets, mostly from Japan, and which was historically number one or number two for New England arrivals prior to the pandemic, as well as China, which just has such a massive population. Those numbers are still far off from where they were in 2019. We're expecting their comeback to happen more around 2026. But overall, we've seen about 16% growth in international arrivals year over year, and that is forecasted to continue in 2025 at a rate of about 15.7%. We just got the updated forecast figures from our research team at Tourism Economics. Latin America in particular, focusing on Mexico and Brazil, they're showing forecasts closer to 20% this coming year for New England. So we're in a really good spot. Now we're looking at 2026. That year is when we're hosting FIFA World Cups. That's the 250. I expect the arrivals that year to be more of an outlier. So that's something that we should see a good amount of international interest in our region because of those major events. But again, it's too soon to know how the incoming administration, how they're going to impact the industry. I know some of you tuned into the USTA's priorities, and they announced their priorities to focus more on modernizing airline infrastructure and streamlining things like visa processing, which are fairly safe priorities, which are likely to have bipartisan support, especially as it relates to national security. So one of the things about New England is we're very fortunate that our visitor typically has higher incomes. We are an expensive destination. We're known that way across the world because we have a very high ADR, and you definitely have to be more of an independent traveler to really explore all 6 states. So we do attract that visitor that has more of that disposable income. They also have approved visas typically. They've already traveled to the United States repeatedly, or once or twice, and then they're looking at where else they can go. So if their country isn't part of a visa waiver program. So as a result, our visitor that typically comes to New England is less likely to be impacted by things like pricing fluctuations or travel restrictions. So I have to say, looking ahead, I'm more concerned about any policy affecting airline Lyft or sentiment in general. So those are things to watch for the coming year. And but overall, we do have that visitor that will be very interested in travel to the region, to the United States, regardless. So again, I'm just in closing, this is a perfect opportunity here from our reps in the UK, Ireland, and Germany. I want to share a brief update that Discover New England, we entered a partnership with Meet Boston to have representation in Mexico City to open up Latin America for us. We're still onboarding that rep, so I felt it better to hold a separate update later on for those Latin America markets as well. But in the meantime, I invite you all to read our latest annual report. I'm going to post that in the chat box for you all, so you have a link to that. That way you'll be able to see all the programs and projects that we ran last year and how those performed. I also encourage you to sign up for the Speaker Day at Summit in Newport this year, the Newport Harbor Island Resort, taking place on April 7th. Even regardless of if you're going for the full marketplace, if you were not able to go for that, but you are able to come just for that one day, there is a registration option for that. So I guess that's the best of some of the intro talking points I can give in just a couple minutes. But with that, I'd like to kick it back to Carrie to introduce our speakers today.
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. So like I said, a little bit of housekeeping. This is being recorded as always. The Q&A tab is open for all attendees to be able to type questions in. We will do our best at the end of the presentation to be able to answer those questions. If we don't get to answer those questions, I will go ahead and send them out to the team. They'll give me some answers and I'll forward them along. So please don't hesitate to write a question in there if you have one. When this is posted afterwards, it'll be listed in our trainings, our education, our past recordings on the tab on our website. So feel free to share it. There's going to be a lot of really great insight from these really great industry leaders that are joining us today. So our guest today will provide a 2024 wrap up and the general overview of what 2025 looks like. And we are so excited to have you joining us. So I think our first presenter today is going to be Danny Campana from Brand USA. Um, they are responsible for marketing the United States as a travel destination and is critical for making sure we all stay competitive in our at the international level. With their leadership, the United States is on track to become welcome the 90th million visitors by 2027. I said that really weird. Sorry, Danny. Danny has been a critical partner for Discover New England, and as we align, we want to do everything we can with the national strategy, and we want to make sure we use their programs as much as possible. So, Danny, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Let me
Absolutely.
just, as we all like to say, let me share my screen. Hopefully everyone sees the screen properly, right? We're seeing the actual PowerPoint. Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Well, hi, everyone. It's good to virtually see you all. I'm Danny Campana. I'm the Senior Manager of Partner Engagement at Brand USA. And I've been on the team for almost 3 years. But if you don't know, which I'm surprised with my loud mouth, I'm a diehard New England fan, family's from Boston, so the region's always been near and dear to my heart, and I'm happy to be here on behalf of Brand USA and provide an update. Just a quick snapshot. I know we have 10 minutes or so to walk through some of this, so I just wanted to kind of set the stage with a quick Brand USA update, and then look a little bit further into the global outlook and international landscape, and then wrapping it up with the partnership with D&E and how to partner with Brand USA. And of course, my email was at the beginning, but if you have any questions afterwards, I'm happy to follow up with you there. So I know you've heard this spiel many times. Our goal is to, as the nation's destination marketing organization, we're here to increase incremental international visitation to the United States in order to fuel the U.S. economy and enhance the USA worldwide. Being the nation's DMO, pretty much our responsibility is to promote to, through, and beyond the gateways, and we couldn't do that without our partners throughout the U.S. and our regional partners as well. Being here in DC, we have our neighbor organizations, U.S. Travel, our advocacy and lobbying arm. So like Carrie and Michelle just said, they just hosted a big update. Brand USA, of course, being the marketing arm, and then Department of Commerce, who sets the plans and policies that we adhere to. And then where we sit in that DMO landscape, really what this shows is that we're 3 to 4 times removed from the actual visitor who travels to the US. So that's why it's so important for us to work with organizations like Discover New England and like the states and city DMOs, because they're the ones who actually have those visitors coming through, those attractions and restaurants that welcome those visitors. So it's important for us to work together to tell that story and to educate the traveler on the different, experiences they can have in the region. So we're super excited for our new team here at Brand USA. As you all know, Fred Dixon joined us back in July, and he has really hit the ground running. With his thought leadership, he has so many great ideas just in the pipeline as we kind of that road to 2026 and beyond. So we're really excited for what he has to see or what he has to do there. And he's brought in a really great team with him. As you can see, there's probably a lot of familiar faces here who have all worked. They're all industry veterans, and we're very happy to have them at Brand USA. Some of his key priorities and objectives are to really build out our PR team led by Chris Haywood, and to really have a stronger stance with any sort of international press opportunities and even domestic when Fred's on the road. Malcolm will be leading more of our MICE and trade opportunities, and we're also very excited for Jeanette to really expand on AI and what that means for both Brand USA to use internally and for the industry, but also for partners and to educate them on AI and the technologies and how not to pretty much be afraid of what you can use throughout the industry. So just looking at the international landscape, I think Michelle kind of touched on some of these things. I know these are numbers with tourism economics providing some of these, but it kind of helps paint the picture of what we're seeing numbers wise and what we're forecasting. So the latest forecast shows that for 2024, given that we're just wrapping that up, that we're expecting to see about 73 million visitors to the US, and that we're optimistic that we'll surpass 20 pre-pandemic levels by 2025. And then Carrie had shared that with our national travel and tourism strategy of a goal of 90 million, that we're actually expecting to reach that a year early, so in 2026 versus 27. So as far as our top markets go for arrivals, you can see Canada and Mexico naturally are our top arrivals, but followed by UK, Germany, and then India, Brazil. A lot of interest, of course, from other markets in like Asia, like Michelle said, but we're still seeing Japan and China a little bit slower to respond, but moving up to more number 4, number 5, closer to like 2027. And then as far as overseas arrivals, so you'll see here for our top 10 overseas markets that we've seen an increase of 14% year over year, and they account for 55% of our total overseas visitation. India is showing remarkable growth with 24% year over year, and they are exceeding the pre-pandemic levels by 49%. And then we're happy to report again that the US remains the #1 largest market in the world for seat capacity with 164 million seats globally inbound, which surpasses our 2019 levels by 7% and up by 9% from last year. And so when we're taking a closer look for nonstop seat capacity from 6 of our 10 markets are at or above pre-pandemic levels, which is great and phenomenal. India exceeds pre-pandemic levels by 46%, but as we know, their nonstop flights are still a little limited. And so Brand USA conducts in-market surveys to understand consumer sentiment and travel and interests, what they want to experience while they're in the US. So according to our 2024 market intelligence data, it's clear that travelers are still very interested in the USA, and this helps paint that picture. So when we ask travelers in the next 12 months, what country or countries will you visit on your international holiday? The United States is the top destination out of the European market, and that would be for France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the UK. And then the likelihood to travel to the USA in the next 12 months, so this is specific to the US, among the 14 countries we did survey, travelers from Mexico and China are very strong there, but we're still seeing very much a lot of interest and demand from Brazil, Colombia, Canada, and India. So what is the Brand USA team up to? I just want to make sure I'm doing good on time. Okay, good. So our teams are kind of reflect these buckets here. We have our global consumer team who are leveraging the in-market, in-kind and paid media strategies that allow Brand USA and the USA to be always on with our marketing approach. Our trade team, they're boots on the ground, working with our international offices to really expand and amplify the USA and our partners' reach. And then the cooperative marketing is where where my team kind of comes in, and we're able to collaborate with partners on their reach, specifically with New England and what we're able to do for their region and partners. So this just shows our key markets in fiscal year 25, which are relatively about the same, but we've expanded, of course, on some of these. And just to note that of these markets, we have international offices in 15 of these countries, which means that we have an extension to our team. And so there's PR, consumer, and trade efforts happening in these markets, which really helps us kind of have that boots on the ground and activate any all things USA in those key markets. And so speaking of boots on the ground, we're currently underway with our Mexico sales mission. Our team is out there conducting in-market sales meetings and educational opportunities for partners. But this is our list of missions for the upcoming year, and they relatively are about the same. So our 26 schedule will probably be ready in like the coming months. But it's a great way to meet the trade. And some of these oftentimes do have a media track as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer that offline. But one big thing that we are highlighting and have been highlighting is our relaunch of the USA Discovery Program. So this was relaunched in summer. It's our online agent B2B travel trade. I said that very complicated. Our B2B online training platform. So we have about 30,000 active agents online, and partners have badges that agents can take quizzes on and become certified and an expert in that specific badge. It's also where we have incentives and badges for mega fams and other things. And so it's a great tool to educate the agents on for them to then, of course, educate their clients and their their market on as well. So then finally, I just want to highlight some exciting things we've done on behalf of New England through some tour operator co-ops. This one we're very excited about is with Komoot, which is a popular in Germany, a popular hiking, biking, and walking app. Andreas, I don't know if you've used that yourself, but Komoot created a USA collection of a ton of trails based off of our road trips itineraries. So this one was specific to quaint New England towns. And from there, what we're able to do is have a call to action with a tour operator, explorer. So anyone in Germany who's on the app who's interested in a specific tour, of course, this is highlighting other destinations and regions as well, but specific to New England, they're able to then book directly through the tour operator, which is awesome. And then this just shares a little bit about some other in-market tour operator co-ops we've done in Ireland, for example, through Click and Go. And then, of course, New England is always a hot commodity when it comes to mega fans and fams. So thank you, everyone, for your support every time we do reach out. This isn't even all of them, of course, from this past year. Just wanted to kind of highlight the JetBlue Paris to Boston fam that we had that went through Massachusetts and Rhode Island. But I also know the South Korea Mega Fam was our first South Korea Mega Fam was in Boston and New England this past November, I believe, and just many more opportunities that are coming through the pipeline. So thank you all. As we know, we can't do this without you. And then I just kind of like to leave it with this 1, 2, 3, 4 punch. Now that we have a PR team, we have a catch-all email for any press releases and media. So please add the press at the Brand USA to that. We're happy to just be your eyes and ears to what's happening so that we can help share that. And then, of course, if you have any questions, again, my email was at the beginning. I know Carrie will send that. But thank you, New England, Discover New England, for having us. And I'm very excited to hopefully see everyone at in Newport.
Thank you, Danny, so much. That was really great information. There's so much going on, and I think, everyone has some really awesome opportunities in front of them right now. So appreciate that. Next, I would like to introduce Andreas and Christian from Get It Across. They are our year-round, and I'll say this for each of the folks that we work with, they are our year-round representation in Germany and other German-speaking countries. These are the folks that we consistently work with and are really out there doing a great job for Discover New England. Trainings in the native language are so important because things get lost in translation, and some things that we say over here aren't said other places. It's great to have someone that is able to help us so much. So with that, I am going to turn it over to them. Andreas, if you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah, so can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So, hi everyone. I have the pleasure to be here along with my colleague Cristiano, who's taking care of the media part. I'm in charge of the trade part. Thank you so much for dialing in today. I'm happy that you're there. I'm sad that I cannot see you, but I hope that we can make it up somewhere in April at the DNE Summit. But let's just start about what's going on in our country, like in our markets. And therefore, we're just checking on how Germany is looking like as a market and also the development. So on this slide, you can see that we have around like 65 million leisure travels that are above 5 days, which is slightly less than in the year before, which was 2022. So I have to tell you at this point that the metrics that I'm showing you here are actually for the calendar year of 2023, since the metrics for 2024 are not published yet. So just keep that in mind, please. And also please keep in mind this number of 65 million, and this is a slight decrease. So 50% of our business, or like of the travel business, from the tour operators is being distributed by the travel agencies. And so this is a very important still as a distribution channel, especially for long haul. And also the US is considered to be long haul for us, of course. So you can tell that there's more or less some kind of a relation between so whenever there's longer distance flights, the people need more advice. They rather go to a travel agency in order to not put their yearly vacation on a fence. So therefore, this is very important for us, and this is the reason why we're reaching out quite a lot to the travel trade. So there's around 2.3 thousand tour operators in Germany, and we have a travel frequency of around 1.2 trips per traveler a year. This is slightly less than in the year before, which has also to do with like the currency that's changing, because our euro has decreased in value a little. That's great for you being an US American traveling over to the to Europe, but vice versa, it's kind of affecting us a little, which is not too bad, as you see also like in the following slides. So first of all, I would like to show you the incoming numbers for Germany, and I will also tell you in a bit why I'm showing you those numbers. So as you can see, we kept on recovering, and we have almost hit the 2019 pre-pandemic level with 1.3 million arrivals in 2023, opposed to 1.5 billion in 2019. So, and as you can see, like within this red frame, there's also North and South America, and we are just slightly behind, which is like 10%, with the North America and South America being source markets. And for us, as you can see on the right side, 8% of the overnights in Germany are being created or are being spent by US Americans in Germany. And this brings me to the point that is very important, because all the countries, the neighboring countries, decreased in share of overnights to Germany, whilst the US and also UK increased. This has also to do with the currency, with the US dollar that has increased in value. And also, this is one of the reasons why we need to have airlift, also from the US to Germany, but also we need to make sure that we are getting those capacities filled when those birds are returning back to the US. And this is also one of the reasons why Condor, for instance, has increased its capacity for the seasonal flight for this year of around 52%. And I think this is a quite remarkable number. And this also shows the opportunity that we are having. On the left side, you can see the most important airports. Of course, it's not surprising that Frankfurt is the most frequently used airport with a bit more than 59 million arrivals every year. So this is like still our most important airport, followed by Munich. And from both of those airports, we are having direct connections to Boston with Lufthansa, and again, like year-round flights, and with Condor, the seasonal flight that has just increased. Every year, we are undertaking some kind of a product inventory on behalf of Discover New England in a way that we are reflecting all the round trips that are being featured by all the tour operators in Germany. And on the lower tables on both of them, you can see also like the share of the hubs that are part of those round trips, like those hubs that are being used. And you can tell that, yeah, 97% of the arrivals are being generated via the hubs of Boston and New York City airports, so JFK and also Newark included here, and also Washington, D.C. For the departures is around 90%. So this is the most important hubs for us, and this is also very good to know for us in order to create product. When it comes to the expenses of the Germans for international travel, you can see that we have already exceeded the 2019 numbers, which was 83.3 billion. With a value of 95.9 in 2023 already, and it keeps on increasing. Doesn't mean necessarily that we are sending more visitors over to other destinations, but also like inflation and also less favorable currencies make it a bit more costly for us to go, but we still keep on going abroad. When it comes to the revenues for tourism being generated within Germany as a destination, we are at 33.8, so also above 2019 numbers. And we have being like a kind of an export nation when it comes to industrial devices, cars, you name it. We are very good in exporting our money over to destinations, and this is quite a remarkable number with 62.1 billion euros in 2023. So we have talked enough about Germany as a travel market. Now just about to put it into perspective for New England. So on the left side, first of all, you can see that we have like 65 million trips being generated by Germans, and 78% of them are going abroad. In the year before, it was 72.9%. So there's an increase to go abroad, although the total number of trips abroad, or not trips abroad, like trips in general, has decreased. So whilst the number of total trips has decreased, our share of travel abroad has increased, and also the share of long haul destination trips has increased by about 3% points. So there's an increase for going abroad. What does it mean? In the end, the people are rather, if they don't have like the funds anymore to go like 2 or 3 times a year for vacation, they rather cross out the shortest trips, like domestic trips or within Europe the trips, instead of crossing out their yearly vacation, their long haul vacation, where also trips to the US is included, of course. So this is quite good to see for you. And when it comes to New England, you can see on the graph on the right side that we have almost crossed the 2019 level in 2023 already. So we had 175,000 arrivals in New England and in 2019, and 174,000 in 2023 already. Comparing Q1 and Q2 of 2024 over Q1 and Q2 of 2023, we are on a very solid level since we have in both years around 50,000 trips towards New England. But as we all know, that the majority of the trips are being generated or being done in the second half of the year. It's quite likely that we are going to cross the 2019 numbers for 2024 already. Yeah, so this is the number that we have here. And yeah, and now just comparing the distribution here. So you can see the tourism market in 2023. So 47% of the turnover is being generated directly by the tour operators and the travel agencies, and the turnover keeps on increasing on both sides. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean that there is always like more like more travels, but there's also like higher cost travels. Yeah. Talking about the product, I was just telling you about our product inventory that we are undertaking every year. So this is also being done right in this moment. So we are observing always the tourism landscape when it comes to the tour operators that are located here and about the product that they are featuring. You can see that there's like slight decreases, especially within the product segments of motor coaches and train. Whilst motor coach, of course, like in the course of the pandemic, traveling with a bus got a little less more favorable. And therefore, yeah, many tour operators have just crossed out a few products here. And when it comes to the train, there's been a 50% decrease, which is actually caused by the fact that one of the tour operators who was pretty much into train travel has just shifted its focus for destinations onto other destinations. Again, Boston, New York, and Washington remain the most important hubs for Germans to arrive in our area. When it comes to our activities into the fiscal year 24, we have been doing some in-house trainings. Of course, we undertake webinars and also trainings with tour operators. Just a few impressions for you. So again, it's very important for us that we maintain a very good relationship with travel trade of any kind, whether it's tour operators and or travel agents. Tour operators and travel agents. We have had the fantastic opportunity of the Patriots game taking place in November 2023. And in the course of it, we have executed a very nice event and bought out like the rooftop of a restaurant. So afterwards, we had like in November, we had a sales mission. We had a sales mission to quite some cities and in Germany, visiting around 12 tour operators. We have been doing the same this year. It was more or less like kind of the highway to hell, as I like to tell about it, since we have been like on the road also this year within 1 week of around, I think it was 1,700 miles in order to see all the tour operators in Germany, which was quite a trip, but we did it and it was a very successful one. So we keep on doing that. And also the newsletters that we're sending out of our own systems and via the VUSA system, also reaching about 23,000 people. With the LOA campaigns that Danny was also mentioning before, we have been executing 2 big ones with Canoes and Argus Reisen. In the first line, it's imperative to increase content where the people are finding inspiration. But of course, we need to reach many people and make sure that we are having a call to action with the people booking trips to our area. So this is what we can continue to do. And so now I'm happy to hand over to Cristiano, who will talk more about the media landscape and about the developments over there, what we're doing there. And I also like to emphasize again to have a look at the D&E annual report so that you can really see a bit more about the activities that we've been executing in the past year. Thank you so much.
Good morning to New England and good afternoon from Cologne. I just want to show you a few results from our PR work here in Germany. So in the past fiscal year, what we have done, our main media tools are still press FAMs and press releases. So we send very good journalists to New England and the first articles are already produced. We write German press releases and send them to over 2,200 contacts in our database. And I have to say, with the NFL game in Frankfurt, we had like an extraordinary media coverage, but also with the other articles, we are very happy about the results. And if you want to read more details, like Andrea said, I encourage you to please have a look at the annual report on the DNE website.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes. So just like as a short wrap up, sorry for interrupting. So just give us the 20 seconds. So this is just like a short summary for you. Of course, it's always very much appreciated if you could just like share any news and images. Is always imperative for the tour operators, the travel trade, for us to really showcase the product that's there. And yeah, for any questions, please just reach out to us anytime. Thank you so much for your attention and for staying with us.
Thank you both so much. There's so many wonderful things that are going on. And I will say that the sales mission that we just took part in was absolutely phenomenal. We did do, Andreas is not kidding when he says we kind of went crazy all over the place. It was pretty spectacular. So thank you for that. And if people are interested in trade missions, there's another one coming up, and it might be to Ireland and UK, which brings us to our next speaker, which is Tony Lane from Woodstock Communications. We're very fortunate to work with Tony year round. He does a tremendous job for us in the Irish market. He's also just happens to be the chair of Visit USA committee. So we've got like he looks out for us in a couple of ways, which is really fantastic. And like I just said, we do have a sales mission coming up in May that is looking to be shaping up really super well. If people are interested in learning more about how to go on a sales mission with us, please reach out to me. And with that, I am going to turn it over to you, Tony.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Let me just share my screen here so you can get my updates. So as Kerry said, Tony Lane is my name from Woodstock Communications. I am the representative in the Irish market for Discover New England for public relations and trade engagement. And what I'd like to do today is, just give you an update on where the Irish economy is at, where society is at right now, travel trends to look out for, and then a little bit about the kind of activities that we do to drive visitation from Ireland to New England. So just looking at the economy and society, so just a very high level view of what's going on. So, I mean, historically, Ireland was a very, very poor country and also very socially conservative. But I'm happy to say that since independence in the 1920s, and especially since we joined the European Union in the 1970s, the country has been completely transformed. It's now one of the wealthiest countries per person in the world, actually. We've got a GDP per capita of over $100,000 per person. So lots of disposable income. There's very few countries in the world where people earn more money than they do in Ireland. And just to put it into perspective, it's higher than the US, it's higher than the UK. As I said, it's higher than almost all parts of the world. So lots of disposable income. I'm happy to say that the good economy is set to grow. So the EU is forecasting growth of 4% in 2025 and then 3.6% in 2026. We've also got full employment, so anybody who wants to have a job can have a job. We did have a bit of a problem with inflation in the last few years, but thankfully that has really been brought under control. It's now at about 1.4%. So that's really significant because if in terms of travel, because if consumer goods are getting more and more expensive, people it tends to have an impact on consumer confidence for travel and they hold off, but it's not an issue anymore. Another thing that's helping us in terms of really making sure that our travel to New England continues and that people have money to be able to service those expensive vacations is the European Central Bank rates are actually coming down. So as of, I think it was May or June last year, the interest rates are coming down. So it means anyone with mortgages or loans, they're gradually getting cheaper. The interest rates had gone quite high to tackle inflation, but that's coming down. Again, it means that there's more disposable income so that people can, go away on these expensive vacations. One thing that is a little bit of a concern, and Andreas actually mentioned this as well, because Ireland uses the euro as well as Germany, is that the US dollar euro exchange rate is not particularly favorable at the moment. So we're looking at about $1.02 for a euro. Pre-pandemic, that was about 120. So holidays to the US are, they are that bit more expensive. But I'm happy to say that it doesn't seem to be impacting Irish visitation to the US. So not doesn't seem to be a factor just right now anyway. I'd also like to say that Ireland is a very liberal country, and as I said previously, was quite socially conservative, but is actually very, very liberal now. It's the first country to bring in marriage equality in the world, and is just very, very liberal on all fronts, and also very tech savvy in terms of the way that people get their information for vacations. So looking at the zooming into the Irish travel market. So we live in an island that is about the same size as the state of Maine, and there's about maybe 7+ million people living there. It takes about 6 hours to get from the top to the bottom and about 3 hours to get from east to west. So international travel, getting off the island is very, very important to us. We know that the average person in Ireland will take a big vacation of about 10 to 14 days and then a smaller break of 2 to 4 days. So that could be a city break to Europe or what have you. But for the target market for New England, which will be middle income and upper middle income, they will do more than just that. So they'll have more opportunities for vacations. We've had an incredible, a strong and quick travel market recovery post-COVID. Visitation to the US in 2024 was 95% of what it was in 2019, so the last good year before the pandemic. And I mean, the US is a very firm favorite destination for Irish visitors. In any given year, we'll have about 500,000 people out of a population, in terms of the whole island, about 7 million will go to the US. So in and around 10%, a little bit less than 10%. And because we travel so frequently to the US, it means that we're actually the #1 overseas country for visitation per capita. So there's no other people in the world per person that go to the US than the Irish. About 10% of those 500,000 people will go to New England. So a significant percentage of the amount of people that go to the US will go to New England. And all of that, incredible visitation to New England it's facilitated by some absolutely amazing airlift that we have. We've got 3 different airlines service New England from Ireland. We've got Aer Lingus, the national airline, Delta Airlines, and JetBlue came in last year with seasonal service to Boston. So that's all great for competition. It helps keep the prices down. We've got flights out of Dublin, which is obviously the capital city, but we've also got Shannon Airport on the west coast has an Aer Lingus service also. And yes, we've got great airlift into Boston, but we also have airlift into Hartford, Connecticut as well from Dublin. So really, really very good airlift. Looking at some of the travel trends, one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, what do Irish visitors want in their, from their trip to New England? And I guess the simple answer to it is they want everything, because there is, it is the full spectrum of different types of people, different, time of their lives, different incomes, different interests. So really, it depends on the individuals, and they do want a bit of everything. But I had a look at the NTTO's survey of international travelers for 2024, and had a look at the kind of the kind of things that Irish people do when they're in the US. And if you look at the graph, you can see that shopping is, it is huge. It really, really is. So it's up at 77% of all visitors from Ireland to the US. They will do some shopping while they're there. And you have to remember that in the context of the exchange rate not being great, still there is value to be had, and shopping is a very important thing for people to do. I think that one of the trends that we saw that was really emerging before the pandemic is outdoors activities and experiential. And if anything, that was accelerated by the pandemic. People actually have an even greater appreciation of the outdoors. And you can see that, you've got national parks and monuments, 46.7% of people did some of that when on their trip to the US. You've got small towns and countryside, 24.7. So that's all, great news for New England. Culture, that rates very highly as well on the list of things that Irish people are interested in. That's an old trend that goes right the way back. Culinary, obviously culinary tourism is, a very exciting area, and it's something that is very of the moment right now. There's a very sophisticated food culture in Ireland. It's great to see that there is a similarly, sophisticated food culture in New England. And as you can see from the stats, 27.4% of people had a fine dining experience while they were in the US. And that's just fine dining. Obviously, you have a baseline of kind of like, everyday foods, but it is such an important aspect of the overall experience that people will have. Another emerging trend is sports tourism. People there's an increased, I suppose, interest in American sports. And I was quite surprised to see that it was so high, but 15.5% of people who went to the US from Ireland actually went to a sporting event. So it is something to watch for the future about the opportunities for sports. So I'm very conscious of time, and I know that Kerry is going to beat me up if I go over my 10 minutes. So I'm just going to go through the activities that we do in the Irish market quite quickly. So in terms of the travel trade aspects, we do a full program of sales calls with all the product developers and senior managers in all of the big companies in Ireland. And it's really about, obviously keeping New England to the fore with them, but making sure that they have the information, developing new products with them, being available to answer questions for them, all those kind of things just to help drive visitation to New England. We've got a full program of training. So wherever possible, we actually physically get into these companies, train counter staff so that they have the information that they need to be able to sell New England. We do joint marketing campaigns. We've done some great work with Brand USA, and it really is doing joint marketing campaigns. It's such a cost-effective way to be able to leverage the presence of these big travel agencies and tour operators. And there's opportunities to develop product and get people, get consumers to places that perhaps might not have been on their radar before. We do sales missions with Discover New England. So last year we did Belfast and we did Dublin as well. This year we're doing Cork and Dublin. And again, it's a great opportunity to get people, the representatives from New England to connect with the local travel trade over here. And obviously we are very active in recruiting quality buyers for the Discover New England Summit. And we're really looking forward to that for 2025. And just very quickly on the media side, the overarching goal of everything we do is to secure a wide range of coverage. And it's, for all 6 states, so right across the board, print, broadcast, online. We aim to have a steady stream of media going over to experience New England. And just to give you a bit of an example, we had one particular journalist was over in, I think it was late September last year, Michelle Jackson, and you can see the example on the screen. But we have had one, 2-minute TV segment. We've had 3 newspaper articles. So lots of bang for the buck from the journalists that we send over. So part of the work that we do is we pitch to media, we get to know, we've obviously got a good idea of what they're interested in and their specializations, and then we look to match up the kind of experience that they have in New England by developing custom fan trips for them. And I just want to say that, whenever an opportunity for an Irish media visit comes in to you guys, all of the opportunities that I send over, they're all quality ones. There is going to be a significant return on investment. All the businesses, wherever possible, all the businesses that support the fam trip, restaurants, attractions, you name it, they will likely get a mention in the actual coverage. So there's a huge return on investment involved in what we do. So that's very briefly what I do. I'm very much the in-market resource. If any of you do want to get in contact, if you have any questions about the Irish market, my details are on screen. I'm more than happy to take a call or an email or what have you. So it's been really great talking to you, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it. All right, you went over. So what do I get to do when I get there in May?
Yikes.
Just kidding.
Uh-oh.
I'm just kidding. I'll be nice just this once. Okay, so thank you for that. And again, like Tony said, we're heading to Dublin and Cork, and then the next part of that sales mission brings us into the UK, into London. And so that leads us to our next folks. Sorry, I'm trying to stop spotlighting you, Tony. There we go. Our next folks come from TTM, and they're going to give you a quick overview of their market that they represent. This morning, we're joined by Sarah and Jody from TTM, and they are the largest and longest standing international market for Discover New England. And I think they're one of the oldest companies, or the length of time that we've worked with companies abroad. I think that they hold that that reign. I think you're the oldest contract or longest lasting contract for us. And
You just want to say that we're old, don't you, Carrie?
no, not that. Well, that's kind of how it came out, because I was trying to spotlight, and that got me all twisted. Sarah, I'm confused on which one I'm supposed to be spotlighting for you. So
Go on with the video.
okay, perfect. Then I'm going to leave you guys to it. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, share. Okay, can you see that?
We can.
Lovely. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm going to start from the beginning. So I'm conscious of time, so I may skip over some of these very briefly, but obviously we're happy for Kerry to share this with anybody that wants like the information to kind of look at and review as they go through. So yeah, as Kerry said, we have worked with Discover New England for quite some time now, and it's been our pleasure to kind of represent the region within the UK. My name is Sarah Ellis, and I look after the trade side of things for Discover New England, and my counterpart Caroline Donaldson Sinclair looks after the PR and media side of things. Unfortunately, Caroline couldn't join us today because her mum's been taken seriously ill, so our director and company owner Jodie has stepped in and picked up the media mantle today, so she'll be going through some of the media points for you as we go through. What we do in market. So we are here, from my perspective, I am trade relations. So we work with airlines, tour operators, receptives, basically to help develop the programs, make sure that a suitable product is in market for their client base. We make recommendations. We keep them up abreast with all of kind of like the new happenings that are going on in resort, new product, hotel wise, excursion wise, and just basically make sure that they are fully geared up to be able to kind of connect the dots with regards to what we do, what Discover New England do, what the tour operators sell, and what the consumer wants to purchase. Part of that is training. We're very much with regards to training, we get out in the market. We do a lot of face-to-face, a lot of webinar training. We do trade and consumer show representation. So we actually do speak to the consumers directly, which is invaluable in kind of not only getting across the Discover New England kind of range of experiences, but also in taking on board what the consumers are looking at and what they're actually kind of looking at doing as they travel in the next kind of 12 to 18 months, which helps us kind of react well to what's happening in market. Events and sales missions, we organise those, as Kerry kind of nicely segmented in there, from Ireland to the UK. We have our sales mission taking place in May. This is a great opportunity for people to kind of get in market, get the partners in front of local tour operators and airlines, and really kind of build those relationships, which we do see kind of goes miles and miles in kind of engagement kind of down the line. So we also operate FAMs and product trips, take the frontline sales agents across to New England. We recruit for D&E Summit. And we also just general market updates with trade releases and also budget management and reporting. So we're very busy over here in the UK on the trade side, and equally as busy on the media side. So I'm going to just hand over to Jodie for the media side.
Thank you. So Caroline prepared this slide to demonstrate how we work in market with best practices and in line with the media and what they need and require. So as you can see, there's a very clear pattern on how things work within our market. I'm not going to read them all out. They're very self-explanatory. And if you have any questions later, please feel free to ask Caroline and myself.
Okay. And then just a quick market overview, really, just some kind of top facts here. We are looking at overseas visits. Again, very much like Ireland, we are an island. We consider our vacation to be kind of like a must-have each year. They are non-negotiable, so people will literally cut back on other items such as eating out in restaurants, day trips, to have that money to go towards trips overseas. So we are looking at 86.2 million overseas visits that took place in 2023 from the UK worldwide. The US remains in the top 3 of the most kind of like desirable destinations for the UK traveller. Over 4.5 million people visited the US in 2023, and a lot of these trips are made up of either visiting families and friends or leisure trips. We also have the bleisure mend of people, of people who are doing kind of like leisure, tagged on to like a business trip as well. So that's a good market there. One that's taken a little bit longer to come back post-pandemic. So really leisure is predominantly the focus for the UK. Barclays Bank data, again, people, as I say, we have a cost of living crisis being reported over here, but as I say, people will spend, as is Barclays data showing, on other items, less so that they can afford to go abroad and overseas on holiday. So spend-wise, we've covered that one. So 64% of people saying that they will actually plan to take an overseas trip in 2025. 52% of people took a trip abroad in 2023 to 2024. So there really still is that strong desire for people to travel. Certain parts of that are looking at sustainability as well. They look at sustainable travel. 100% sustainable travel to the US is not going to be possible because they are getting on an aeroplane and traveling for hours in the air. However, they do want experiences where they can give back to the local community, or if they're working with kind of experiences where they can see that they're involved in the community, and by kind of buying into those, they are assisting in that sustainable kind of for the community. So there really are different drivers for people as they're traveling overseas at the moment. So with regards to actual market position, Boston and New England are in a really strong position with regards to airlift. We have such a high number of flights each day. Obviously, New York as well, also kind of like that gateway through to Connecticut, has an immense kind of flight load through from the UK. But out of the UK into Boston, we have the BA flights, which are 3 flights daily, Delta Airlines and Virgin Atlantic, American Airlines, JetBlue as well. We also have regional flights that go with regards to Scotland, with Delta Airlines flying out of Edinburgh. And then we also have the great connections that go through with Aer Lingus from the regional airports, but through Dublin, where you have pre-clearance as well. So that really is kind of like an attractive proposition for people, especially if they're in the north of England. A lot of them generally will tend to prefer to go through Ireland rather than going necessarily through Heathrow. And then we also have Aer Lingus into Bradley International Airport as well. So some great airlift there. 278,200 UK visitors took trips from England to New England in 2023, which is an increase of 17.9% from 2022. So we're kind of trying to claw back to those pre-pandemic levels. But the projected 3-year growth from 23 to 26 was forecast at plus 8.9%. So we are en route for that. Just to give you an idea of some booking patterns in the UK, lead times kind of have fluctuated a little bit over the last kind of few years. That predominantly longer kind of lead time really shortened at one point, but we are now seeing that get back to a more traditional 8 to 12 months or beyond kind of booking window, with a few people booking kind of on a late booking window opportunity. Peaks are January and into early February. That's the traditional peak. However, we do have airline and tour operator sales, taking place in May and September. And we're also seeing the Black Friday phenomenon kind of touching on the travel industry at the moment, with a lot of operators and airlines bringing Black Friday offers to market. So that's something that they did probably more so in 2024. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact that had on sales over that period. Target audience, as Michelle said earlier, we are predominantly 50 years and upwards, couples, empty nesters, multi-generational families with teenagers, and those with kind of like a high disposable income. And primary travel type, probably fly drive is going to be still the main kind of means of getting around New England. However, we are seeing a lot of interest from the UK market with people that want to travel by rail. So that's something that we're kind of educating the tour operators on at the moment, and kind of like how accessible New England can be and how they may make that work if that is a client's kind of primary means of travel. We work with key operators across the board, so from Trailfinders, Donata, Audley Travel, who are a little bit more specialist, Bon Voyage, through to like your BA Holidays, your Virgin Holidays, Barhead Travel, so lots of regional operators, but we do engage with all of those on a very regular basis, and to the point of organising like the co-ops with Brand USA and doing like the UK marketing. And then over to you again, Jodie.
Okay. So as you can see from this, the editorial media value for 2024 was 4.7 million, nearly 4.8. We reach publications including the Express, Mirror, and significant regional titles such as Manchester Evening News, and is largely syndicating coverage across all titles now. National World is a fairly new syndicator, serving as the online portal for the regional titles across the country, and already hitting in excess of 20 million page views per month. They are very keen on travel. Premium travel title Wanderlust has taken on a specialist US editor. An elegant coffee table publication, Journey Magazine, started a separate magazine, Journey America, in 2024. So there's significant investment in the US market and interest, obviously. Our media value has increased year on year by just under $250,000. So it's good to see that that continues to raise the bar. We can go to slide 10. So these are some of the trends in slide 10. You see bioleophiles. I can't pronounce that very well. I'm sorry. That's a new trendy word for me. Explore Worldwide conducted an online survey of 2,000 Brits to confirm what book lovers already know, that 72% of those surveys said that a novel had inspired them to travel somewhere new. They have established their own book club, connecting readers to destinations that they have read about. Book festivals are even promoting international visitors. The second trend that we can see here are couples are now using their honeymoon as an opportunity to take that trip of a lifetime they fear they may never otherwise be able to justify, or the gap year they could not afford. They are working from their trip and using apartment hotels. Her story is a big one that's coming out and increasing in popularity. The rise of the female solo traveller and female friendship travel, as well as the growth in female-focused cultural exploration, and it's leading to an escalating trend in thinking women's travel. Women are seeking out female influence, whether artistic, political, or cultural, famous, or underappreciated. JOMO is a new technical term that I hadn't heard before, but then I am the dinosaur. Joy of missing out on your tech. British Airways Holidays have invested a fortune in humorous TV advertising, playing on the out of office theme. The other thing that we are seeing on the increase is sabbaticals have recently been identified by HR company Adecco as the biggest work trend right now, with prospective employees choosing companies that offer this facility over companies that don't. What's in it for the companies? Improved mental well-being and making sure they retain top talent. 12% of companies in the UK offer paid career breaks, while 53% offer unpaid leave to give their employees a proper break. Parents are taking off the entire summer to explore destinations, including places like the USA, Canada, and Japan. BMW in the UK offers 6 months paid leave to employees that have over 20 years service. On slide 11, the trends continue. Dark skies tourism is here to stay. It became a very popular thing, and enthusiasts are looking for the next level, and creative operators are coming up with other adventurous options for nighttime excursions, from sea swimming to night safaris. Again, we would credit this to the tech detox trend. There is a significant movement towards learning holidays focused on rural, ancient, and cottage crafts. Travellers want to work with their hands and explore their natural talents. They also want to experience that brings them closer to the communities they are exploring. As Tony outlined, sports tourism is a big thing and growing from strength to strength, but similarly, to the greed of crafting and upskilling, travellers want to experience the sport for themselves by taking part, including marathons, rowing, and sailing. Accessible adventures demand is accelerating as providers recognise the voice and spending power of the disabled traveller. Wheelchair users, visually or hearing impaired travellers will no longer settle for watching from the sidelines. They are high-earning, tech-assisted and socially media active. So we're trying to make sure that we are appealing across the board to all of these different markets and trends for 2025. And what we would ask you to do, and what Caroline has asked me to relay to you all, is that if you have any ideas, if you have anything that fits into any of these trends, then please do let us know, because it's a great selling point and hook for us when we're talking to the media. Back over to you, Sarah.
Okay, so really just quickly to wind up, I think for opportunities for 2025 for partners to get involved in, I think we have 11 current active media fan requests ongoing, which we always need support with. Just getting involved with any news updates that you have or information that you think would be great for us to relay to the UK market. And just get involved with things like the sales missions, be present at Summit, meet the kind of tour operators in person, trade roadshows and options like that we have over here that we take part in, and the joint marketing campaign. So really there is a whole host of things that as partners of D&E you guys can get involved in, and that will help us, as we say, connect the dots to the UK tour operators, airlines and consumers, and get them travelling to visit you in resort. So thank you, Kerry.
Great. Thank you both so much. A lot of great information. Thank you to everyone who presented today. I know it's a lot and it's fast, and we ask for a lot from all of you, but it really does help us help our industry in New England. So I was glad to see the trends, because some of those are things Michelle and I have been talking about when we've been out presenting ourselves. So that's exciting. For the attendees, thank you for sticking with us, and thank you for being a part of today. Just a quick reminder, this will be online later on today. We'll send out a follow-up email. You will receive an email from Zoom from me that is just asking 3 quick questions after this presentation, and I would love it if folks would take a minute and fill those out for me. It's really how I start to inform the next set of education webinars that we're working on. It's all about the industry, so we want to make sure we're presenting you with what you feel like you need. February's webinar is coming together right now, so stay tuned, but it will be about international media and best practices. Very excited for that. And in March, we'll be doing a How to Summit again. And maybe this time we'll dig a little bit further into what you really need to bring with you, some of the ways to be more prepared to make these relationships and really dig in. I know it's not the right way to say it, but to really dig in with these partnerships that you're there to form. And again, thank you, everyone. If there's questions, please just shoot them over to me via email and I will get answers for you. But again, I appreciate all the time and attention. And with that, we will end today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.